All right, Mr. Croce, it's a pleasure.
Hello, Rhonda.
How you doing?
Great.
And so you're here at your Pirate Museum in our lovely St. Augustine, and we're here to talk about St. Augustine and how it's become a must-see destination here in Florida.
Well, I vouch for that. I mean, you know, I got hooked about half a dozen years ago, and since that time I've invested a lot of money because I love this town. I love the history behind this town. I love the earth below our feet because all of it has artifacts. What other city in America has an archaeologist on staff?
Exactly, and we love your enthusiasm about St. Augustine. We thank you for being here. Exactly what initially did drive you to St. Augustine? I mean, obviously you are, you had a Pirate Museum in the Keys.
Well, exactly. It was this Pirate Museum I had in the Keys, and Dana St. Clair, who's director of your heritage tourism for the city, asked me to give a talk on pirates and their from their strongholds to even how St. Augustine was plundered by pirates. And so I came up, and it was in 2009, and I left that night owning this building.
Right.
It was that night. That's, I think I work a little too passionate sometimes.
That is what we love about him. So tell me, as far as St. Augustine being an up-and-coming destination, what I have noticed is that world tourism is becoming, I see so many people from so many different places. It's not just local tourists anymore. I grew up, I'm a native Floridian. What I used to see here were natives and native Floridians, maybe some South Georgia people. What we're finding now is that we are getting, this is a destination now that's become worldwide. As you know, I used to do Middle Eastern news. I hear Arabic on the street all the time now. Many Hispanic visitors. What do you think is a major draw to them about this place?
I think because St. Augustine is the oldest city in our nation, I think that draws them. I think that unbelievable amount of high-level attractions that we have, the experiences that we can create for world travelers, international travelers, as well as our own provincial travelers. I think that's what sets St. Augustine apart. And I think that's one of the reasons Colonial Quarter, I put each one of those interpretive graphic text panels in English and in Spanish.
Yes.
Not only to draw them, but so they could feel at home.
Exactly. How is our Colonial Quarter doing?
The Colonial Quarter is doing real well, thank you. And as a matter of fact, on June 22nd, we launched the Colonial Crew Review, the show.
Yes.
At 8 o'clock that night. It's a 75, 90-minute comedy musical show that's really going to be fun. You know, because St. George Street dies at night.
Yes, it
Here
does.
we're going to create something every Friday and Saturday night for, as you speak, the international travelers, the local travelers. We want people, when they come to St. Augustine, to enjoy the beaches, but to enjoy the attractions, to enjoy the restaurants, and now we're going to give them a venue at night to enjoy a show.
So it will be a night show, and then also your restaurants are open. That is critical to us as locals and tourists, that you stay open. Your grill does stay open a little bit later than some of the others.
Both the Taberna del Caballo, and the British, it's a Bull and Crown British pub. We want to keep them both open late so the people can, when they're checking into hotels and bed and breakfasts, they can still find a place to get something to eat.
Now, as far as the business aspects of the Colonial Quarter, is it meeting your expectations so far?
Yes, it is, but we always are looking to do better. Remember, it's state land, and my partner is the University of Florida, who was the landlord. So they're my partner, so I got to pay them right off the top. So it's going to take a little while to break even, but I knew that.
Right.
Look, I only wanted to invest $1 million. I invested $3 million.
I was going to say, you did invest some of your own money, and we
all of my,
appreciate that
it's
in
all
our
of my
town.
money. So yeah, it's not. I didn't get any funding from anywhere else. And there's 25 buildings and structures. I didn't plan to do that many.
Right.
And you know, when we had to put all the electrical conduit, all that land, as we talked about, had to not only be excavated, it had to be reviewed and made sure it was vetted, that there was no artifacts that might be disturbed.
It actually, the archaeology came first. I know that.
And that's expensive.
We saw them digging.
Nowhere else in America do you have to say, oh, please, archaeologists, don't find anything.
I mean, for our visitors that don't know, explain the significance of that archaeological site.
Well, because this is 450 years old, and the first settlement for Europeans in America, in the United States, there's all kinds of bones and pottery and weapons and
there's
all
a
kinds
fort
of things that
there also.
talk. What's that?
It's one of our forts as well, our early wooden fort.
The wooden fort's right behind us.
Yes.
You know, when we excavated this land at the Pirate Museum, we found a Bellarmine bottle from the mid-1600s. We found the handle of a cutlass.
Yes.
The dividers for
You
navigation.
can actually see that here at this
know, it's pretty
museum,
cool.
can't you? I just want to throw that in there as well because it's one of my favorite displays. Now, I mean, moving along, you mentioned the Fountain of Youth in a previous interview. Have you been out there? You know, they are digging, and what they are, archaeology is proving that that is the earliest continuously occupied settlement by Europeans in the continental United States.
Oh, I think it's great what they're doing out there. I think they're adding to the experience for our travelers, for our visitors, so
Right.
that you can see an archaeological dig. So you can see
Yes.
Kathy Deegan, Dr.
Yes,
Kathy
yes,
Deegan,
Dr. Kathy Deegan.
and some of the other University of Florida historians at work. So Noah, that's what brings it all about. You can go from the Castillo up the street to the Fountain of Youth. I mean, even Ripley's is the oldest Ripley's. It's
Yes,
the first.
it is. Yes,
where's
it
the
is.
first city,
He
the
knows
first
his
harbor?
stuff. Yes, he does.
So, that's what I think brings about the special kindred spirits here in St. Augustine.
Yes, and we have the oldest masonry for it. Let's throw that in there. Now, for those of us, for visitors, for our potential visitors, what your family loves to come here. I've taken their photo here with big smiles. What is their favorite thing to do here in St. Augustine? Besides the Pirate Museum, of course.
Their favorite thing in here would be, well, I think it's right here. There's the Golden Mile in Chicago. Here's the Golden Half Mile because you have the St. Augustine Pirate and Treasure Museum. You have the Castillo de San Marcos across the street, and right next door you have the Colonial Quarter. So in the Colonial Quarter, for those who don't know, imagine Epcot meets Williamsburg. So you have, but instead of countries, you have centuries. 16th, 17th, 18th century British and 18th century Spanish, combined with the authenticity and first-person persona that Living History Museum of Williamsburg. And that was, I think that's what they experienced was history. Like walking down Aviala Street, that old cobblestone street. I mean, you're almost like in Rome when you walk that oldest street.
It is America's oldest
pretty
street.
cool.
Which brings me to my most favorite subject with you, Sir Francis Drake. It is the anniversary week of him burning my street. That is where I live. And when I walk down it, I often think about that at night, but I've really been thinking about it. And everybody...
Well, let's tell our viewers, on May 28th,
Yes.
in 1586, Sir Francis Drake's fleet was just passing Havana, and they couldn't get into Havana to plunder. They already plundered Cartagena. They're coming up the Straits of Florida, coming up on the sea's coast, and someone spots a watchtower. And so he sends off some longboats to go check it out, while some of the Spanish and the Indians raided those English soldiers at night, and that got his dander up, and the pirate in him. He unleashed the pirate. 2,000 of his warriors came aboard, had 25 ships, and they took this city to the ground.
Yes, they did.
They
Burning
left with
crops,
14
poison
bronze
wells.
cannons and 2,000 gold ducats.
Yes,
I mean,
and 28 warships, I understand.
25.
I was astounded. 25, okay.
25.
I was reading that this
I only
past
know
week,
that
and was
because I have a new book
astounded.
coming out on Drake. A Kids Illustrated
We can't wait.
book. So.
We can't wait. Oh, for kids.
Yeah, no, it's just like Blackbeard. This is the next in the
That is gonna
series.
be awesome.
Oh yeah, and the illustrator did a magnificent job.
That we can't wait for.
Thank you.
They will be on sale here at Croce.
For sure, and elsewhere.
Very quickly, your expedition. We know that you did go down and find a fleet that was Drake's funeral fleet. That was last year.
No, it was. Well, you're
Is that
right.
correct?
We found what we believe to be the charred remains of two of his ships that were scuttled. They were scuttled on purpose because
Right.
the big Queen ships needed more sailors. It was the 14-gun Elizabeth and the 8-gun Delight.
Yes. Now you were searching for Sir Francis.
I wanted
Drake's
him.
body.
I wanted his body. Rhonda, here was my goal. I know you're going to think this sounds crazy. I wanted to find Sir Francis Drake. Now, he was buried in a 2x2 by 6 foot coffin and sheathed in lead, and he had full body armor on. I know. I have his captain's journals. They put him somewhere in the port of Portobello, somewhere overboard in that Caribbean Sea there. I wanted to bring it up,
Yes.
have a funeral procession across the Caribbean, up the Atlantic, up the Thames, and drop the great Drake right at the feet of Queen Elizabeth II. She would have knighted me. You would
Wouldn't
be
that
calling me
great?
Sir Pat
Now
Croce.
you're using past tense now. We were hoping you were going to get back out there.
Oh,
with the
I
Sir.
plan to get
Is that
back
a
out there. I'm not sure the
possibility?
Panamanians are going to let me. They think I'm an American rogue trying to rob
Oh, I see.
the grave.
Well, there are a lot of people here in town, and basically, I run stories on the internet, as you know. There's a worldwide interest in Sir Francis Drake.
Well, you know
he
that
does
Jim
have a
Sinclair,
following.
right here, the archaeologist Jim Sinclair, was on this maritime expedition with us.
Yes.
And so, I mean, St. Augustine has a lot of archaeologists here involved in this project.
The lighthouse is another place we highly recommend, and they have 2 British frigates that they are bringing up right off the coast, and you can go and see those objects and have them explained, in their context.
And just
by
climb the lighthouse.
archaeologists
You want
there.
some workouts? You don't need a Stairmaster.
Awesome.
Climb the lighthouse.
It's fantastic. So, are you going back after Drake's body, if they will let you?
As Arnold once said, I'll be back.
There you go. We wish you all the luck.
Thank you,
sir.
Rhonda.
for-
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for promoting St. Augustine
Thank you.
for us.